Hi, welcome back. Another week and another conversation is part of our CXO series. It's my pleasure and delight to have MJ Rakesh, famously known as Professor Ulfat Sultan from the Bangalore radio. Today's conversation is a very personal one, which dwells deeper into the aspect of personal value proposition. Rakesh has had multiple career shifts and career explorative journeys from the corporate world as a customer support personnel to what he is today. And that's what we would be diving deeper into in this week's conversation. Rakesh talks about how to personally introspect your value proposition, course correction, the balance between money, time, and life itself when it comes to evaluating your personal value proposition and thereby doing things that you really enjoy and yet enjoying the whole process as well. As always, I hope you like this mix of eclectic and electric energy that I experienced in the room talking to Rakesh as he maneuvers through the why, what, and how of figuring out and really working on your value proposition. With self-awareness as his core strength, he brings a very interesting point of view as we discuss the topic of personal value proposition, one that is very different from what I walked into this room with as a perspective. And the subtle nuances of this journey really makes one think of how do you apply the concept of introspection, retrospection, course correction, and reinvention as you go through mastering your value proposition. As always, I hope you like this conversation and I hope it helps you in building your own personal value proposition. If you've liked this podcast, like, subscribe, and do share. And thank you again for tuning in. So Rakesh, I want to start with, I think I've known you for a while now, but more outside of your workspace. I want to start with who are you, but not as an MC, an RJ, and the journey that you've got or the titles that you've accumulated over the years. But deep down, who is Rakesh?
Well, honestly speaking, when you've asked me that question, I wouldn't have definitely given you an answer of what all I've done and who I am because of what I've done. I would have naturally told you what I feel like telling you. So if you ask me who am I would just say I'm an energy ball. Okay, I create my own energy. I thrive on my own energy and I exude that energy to roll me further to grab more energy. So that's what I am, as much as it might sound too philosophical and very vague. But eventually, each of us as human beings, we are an energy, right? As much as we have a face, we have our hands, legs, we have a personality, we have a name, we have a kind of job that we do that defines us. I would say above all this, what defines us is the kind of energy we breed, the kind of energy we thrive on, and the kind of energy we roll with, because that's what decides how your journey of life is going to be. And so that's what I am. So that's me. I'm an energy ball that creates, thrives, and rolls on its own.
But for that, where do you derive your own energy? Like, it has to come from deep down.
See, all of us have this core, right? All of us have this core. I'm not talking about the core that we all work out in the gym. All of us have this core that has its intrinsic ability to exude something. Some people have, so it could be anything. It could be love, it could be passion, it could be aggression, it could be complacency, it could just be a meditative state. It's a core that emits or intrinsically has something, right? My core is energy. So it just is coming out of there. Like they say, you'll never know the source of a river, right? It just flows. But there is a source somewhere and you always wonder, how is it produced? How is water coming out of that source? You'll never have an answer to that. It's a nature's work. So similarly, I think our body is a work of nature. There is an intrinsic ability in all of us. That's the core that exudes something. In my case, it's the energy and it just naturally comes out from there.
I think one of the conversations I saw, I think way back, I think 2017 or something, you talk about your relationship with money. I feel there is a correlation between this who you are to money and the relationship
Okay.
with money. And having done about 30 plus episodes, I feel it's very important to understand one's relationship with money because it can either lead you in a route which is not yours or it can lead you in a very conscious journey. So I felt you had this sorted in your head, your relationship with money.
I wouldn't say I sorted it, but I just came to an understanding in the way I just looked at it. Firstly, I don't have a relationship with money. Okay, there is no relationship that I have with it. It is just probably a means to an end, like we were having this conversation. It's just a means to an end. It's not an end for me. Okay, and the money again, it's as much as it sounds cliche, it's a very materialistic value that we have created and we have given to it, right? It's the man, or it's the human who's given a value to that money, and it's a human who can even take it away from us, from it. A classic example was the demonetization, right? There was so much value to that 100 rupee note or that 1,000 rupee note, which we as humans gave it to it, and within a snap of a finger or probably overnight, that value was taken away from you. Now that doesn't mean that you should not have any value or any connection towards money. I would just look at it as it is just there. Like they say it in Hindi, हम पैसा कमाते हैं, पैसा हमको कमाता नहीं है. Right? We earn the money, money doesn't earn us. So let's keep that in its place. Use it when you really need it. Put it away from your other purposeful things that you need to do in life. Money can always be there as a factor that supports or kind of helps you move ahead. For me, I look at money more as something that can put food for me on the table. That's all I think. Which also I sometimes feel you don't need, because if you're really good at what you do, and if you're kind enough, there will naturally be food on your table. You don't really have to go buy your food. It could just come to you on your table, right? So for me, I look at money more as something that just brings my food on the table and brings the food on the table for my family. That's all you need. And for me, it's only as much as I can pay my bills and I can earn my food. That's enough for me. I don't really want to accumulate and amass a lot of it.
But I'm with you on this, okay? So for me, it took me a long time to figure this. I think I'm still figuring it out.
Okay.
But one of the things is it's easier to have that as a perspective when you're growing with a lot of money. But it's a different story when you're not growing with a lot of money. And I understand that you didn't come from a silver spoon background.
Of course not.
It's everything that you are is what you are today from your own journey. So it must have been very difficult to set this as a relationship, as a foundational relationship.
Yeah.
Did this happen very early in your career itself, or is it something that evolved?
See, I would say a lot of people have this misconception or this perception or this assumption about me that, okay, you can tend to be the way you are only because you probably come from a well-to-do family, you don't really have bills to pay, and you don't really have people to take care of. Let me tell you honestly, all those who think that way about me, the idea is totally the opposite, in fact, right? So that is what it is. I come from a very tough background. At least not now. Thankfully, I've created a space for myself where I can survive very comfortably. I do come from a very tough background. I, of course, did have a lot of bills to pay, in fact, loans to pay off, which didn't even belong to me. And of course, I really had to struggle to put together food on the table for myself and the family. And of course, I had about 6 dependents. I don't really want to call them dependents. I love taking care of them, and that's why I still love taking care of them. So I did come from a very tough background in terms of putting together things financially, at least. But over a period of time, I figured that it wasn't money that got me out of the tough times that I was having. It was actually the kind of work that I was doing, what I believed in, and the way I was rolling with things with what I believed in is what got me where I'm today. Right? So it wasn't really the money that got me there. Yes, it did give me financial independence. It did pay off my bills. It did put food together for my family, and it did, of course, take care of me in a very nice way. But eventually, I figured out that that really wasn't the thing that got me where I have gotten here today. right? I would still say if I was someone who's still on my bike, which I used to ride, like a kinetic Honda is what I used to ride all across town. In fact, even the outskirts to go do events with my little bag of props in the front. And that's what I would use for any kind of commute or any kind of things at home. There used to be a certain tab that I used to keep for the amount of money that could be spent in a month for the home and for myself and all that. Even with that till date, even if that applies till date, I would still do what I would do. I would still be the person that I am. That wouldn't change. So it's been tried, tested, proved over a period of time for me that money hasn't really what you call
In the driver.
changed the way I think or feel about life and its journey. It's just kept that side of it really intact. So even till date, I'm not someone who's chased money. Even till date, I would never really sit at an appraisal meeting with my bosses. I would see everybody in the entire flow would be discussing about what's the percentage we're going to get, what are the points that I need to put forward to kind of really come out strong and get more percentage on the increment. I wouldn't even understand that. I'm like, see, if you've done really well and if you believed in the kind of work that you've done, you just let them do what they need to do for your salary or for your increment, right? You don't really go and fight for it. What's the point after you working so honestly, faithfully, believing in it and giving your 100%, you still have to go fight to prove that you've done it? Is right? Like they said, do good, be good, don't waste time proving it.
Yeah.
Of course, with all the HR policies and the way bosses think, they will try to squeeze the maximum out of you and only give you the bare minimum that you're supposed to get. I'm okay with that. I'm not someone who's trying to amass wealth and trying to make it really big financially. I'm not doing that. So I would always walk up to my bosses when they would call me for the appraisal meeting. I would say, you don't really need me for this. Whatever you've seen my work across the year, whatever you think is good enough for me, please put it down on paper and I will embrace it with whatever you give me. So that's how it's always been. So from the very beginning till now, money, or rather my outlook or my perception towards money was just, it's a means to an end. It's not the end.
And that means then that you should have internalized what is your value proposition really well. What I mean by that is, so this has been my experience and probably one-sided thought process. But I feel if you know what your value proposition is, what you bring to the table, and you up the game for yourself every time, then money stops being the driver's seat. Money starts coming in automatically and naturally because of the outcome that you're bringing. So that means at some point you figured this balancing equation, and that's why you're talking about it's my work. It's my work that should talk, and then the money just keeps coming.
Yeah, I would not even do. You know what the irony of it is, or rather, the weirdness of the entire thing is, which a lot of people kind of fail to understand, and they look at me like that. The oddball out there is that don't even do anything for money to come around or for success to come around, right? I don't subscribe to these things at all. What's your purpose of doing what you're doing? So that you have a great time, right? And people around you have a great time. No matter what that job is, whether it's being in the entertainment business or it's being in the corporate business or whether it's being in the service industry or whether even if it is for working for the government, you're having a good time doing that and people around you are having a great time, you doing that for them. That should solve your purpose, right? That should be your purpose for life, is how I have lived it. I somewhere am thankful that over a period of time, I figured that I have probably created this ability for myself where I can create happiness for people and that gives me happiness. So this purpose is much higher than just figuring out how much money am I making doing this. You're just diluting that entire purpose, or rather you're putting that purpose to shame. It's not even a purpose then, right? You're doing it because you're getting something out of it. Honestly, I don't do anything because I get something out of it. I just do it because it's giving something out of it. That's how I think you should be looked at. Not what you're getting out of it, what you're giving out of it. And the moment you kind of get that, no, you'll realize you're much happier in the space that you are. You're not going to think that you're going to work 9 to 5. You're not going to worry that, oh, when is my weekend coming in? You're not going to worry, oh, how many hours am I working today? You will just do it because it's just something that you've aligned yourself with, and you're just rolling with it.
Yeah.
You're just rolling with it. So anything else that comes along with it comes along. If it doesn't, also, I will not have a problem with it. I will not have a problem with it.
Yeah, I can relate with this from when I've taken podcasting.
Uh-huh.
That you sort of eat, shit, sleep. And this sort of is like, it's almost like it's there in your brain all the time. I can try this. Oh, I should try this. Oh, I shouldn't have done something like this. Maybe this way. It's always there in your head. It's not like, oh, okay, it's 9 o'clock, so I need to sit now and then figure this out. It's like, it's constantly there.
Yes. And one more thing that people, I think all of us know, have enslaved ourselves
Tell me a
to
little more.
something which we don't even know what it is. We've enslaved ourselves to so many things around. I wouldn't say we've enslaved ourselves to jobs, or enslaved ourselves to materialism, or enslaved ourselves to commitments and the worldly things that is demanded of us. We have just given into that unknown force that's just kind of constantly sucking us. I think the real challenge of living life today is to kind of save yourself from getting sucked into these things.
But first you should know what is sucking you like this.
Yeah. So when you figure that out, you will know that you're just living the journey, and happily. You don't even have to go find your passion.
Yeah.
You don't even have to go figure out what else do I do if I quit my job. You don't even have to figure out what else will interest me and where should I put my mind in. You just stop getting sucked by things. You will naturally feel that you're living it, and you're living it large, and you're living it very happy as well. Like when I started my my work life, I was working from the very beginning. I was in the family business. I was working in the shop for about 14 years, and then did my education alongside shop, college and all of it. And then once I got my first job, HP, I was working in there for about 2 years. With all due respect to that place, it taught me a lot in terms of corporate culture, etiquettes, and in terms of how you come across to the world out there. It did teach me all of it. But eventually, over a period of time, after 2 years, I figured I don't know what I should be doing. But one thing I know, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. Right? So one fine day, I just quit HP. Everybody was like, you've done 2 years and you've done really well for yourself. You're only going to grow the next year, and you will make it big in your department. I said, no, that is not my chase. That is not what I want to do. Right? So eventually, when you stop doing certain things, you'll figure out what you should be doing. Till then, you'll only be figuring, oh, I think I need to, change my career. I need to move on to do things which are much more meaningful. I want to be happy in life. You will see this very common in everyone's conversations today, right? Oh God, I have some crazy shifts to do. I have weekends to do. I have late nights to do. And I have to do this at home. I have to do that in terms of taking care of myself and all of it. So that's because they've just gotten sucked into so many things without even their knowledge that they're supposed to be there or not.
Yeah.
Unsuck yourself or get yourself out of it.
Unsuck yourself.
Yeah, get yourself out of it, or suck back your life and let life take its own course. It's a very beautiful way that you can just let it roll by itself. Yeah. So that's how I feel it is.
But that must have been a journey, right? To figure out what do you bring to the table? Your value proposition. What is that Rakesh, that persona is about? It's like a journey. It's not like...
It's a journey. That's why I don't like calling it a career.
Yeah.
I don't like calling it value proposition as well, as much as you want to use it. It is just a journey. And and like I said, journeys usually evolve.
Yeah.
Journeys usually are organic. Journeys usually roll by themselves. Right? So if you're going to be doing unnatural things, or you're going to be putting stops to it in various aspects, in things that you're putting your head or yourself into things that you don't like, you're only blocking your own journey. Unblock yourself from those and you'll figure this out. Right? I had to put my foot down. As much as I had bills to pay at home, as much as I had a lot of commitments financially, I had to put my foot down and say that, okay, I'm not going to be working in a corporate life anymore. I'm just going to let my journey evolve by itself. And over a period of time, I figured that I wanted to be an entertainer because it has a higher purpose, not because it gives me name, fame, money, success, and all of it. I figured that being an entertainer is a feeling of contentment, right? You go back home feeling so great that you could do something like this, or you could do something with which a lot of people felt happy, and you could create a difference in so many people's life. So even till date, when I do an event, my objective is very clear. When I go to an event, when I go to a stage, or even when I'm prepping backstage, or if I'm getting into a zone before I go onto the stage, my purpose and intent is very clear. I want people to go back home with a memory. That's all. Okay? And when I'm aligned with such a bigger purpose in my head, I know everything else around me is telling me what to do. And I'm figuring it out myself also, along with those energies around me that tell me what to do. I know I need to start my event this way. I know I need to get into the story of that brand who's doing that event, like a family day or an annual day, whether it's an IPL match or whatever. I know that people are there for a particular experience to take home. I touch upon their story, and then I play with the energies and I get them on my side. And then I know I can drive the entire event my way, and it's a responsibility that I have shouldered it myself by taking them on my back and saying that I will give you a ride, I will give you an experience, and I will give you a memory to go back home with. Now, so just you heard me just now, right? So this is what my purpose is. Now this is what my value is. Whether you call it value proposition, you call it my skill, you call it my talent, you call it my career or whatever. For me, this is what I live for, and this is what defines my journey. And I would want to continue doing this for the rest of my life. There is nothing like I want to touch the peak of this journey, or what will happen if I have a little dip in the journey. I don't care. It's a journey, right? It comes along. These things comes along. Yeah. So I would just want to roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did the BBMP elections happen in between? I thought that was very interesting, okay? Because, see, like people, I don't know, people like me who are commoners without a political background, we sort of stay away from it. And here I saw it. I was going through your profiles. 26 years you stood for BBMP elections.
Yes.
At 26,
yes,
I was like,
they say I was the youngest candidate in the country ever to contest an election, a political election.
Did you have any political
Absolutely not.
relatives?
Like I'll just quote you. You just said, right? Someone as me, as a commoner without any political background, I can't even think about it. Those are the people who exactly need to think about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because politics, as much as it sounds like a dirty word today or a bad word today, that is something made for the commoners, right? To make sure the commoners have a good life, to make sure commoners have a better standard of living, to make sure the commoners are not struggling as much as they've struggled all their life, right? So that's what politics is, probably the purpose of politics is. And me as a commoner, I thought to myself, it has to be one amongst us to be understanding and knowing us and the kind of problems we deal with, and to be in a position to able to help. So that's why I took to politics at that point in time. And I knew one thing for sure. So that was one reason. The other reason was I didn't want it to be that person who all my life would probably crib, like a lot of people do today when they wake up in the morning. They look at the newspaper or they look at the feeds on their phone, the news feeds, and they sip their coffee and they say like, oh, this country has gone to dogs. These politicians are killing it. These politicians are, just ripping it apart. I didn't want it to be that. At least I made an attempt to get into the system to try and clean it up. Of course, I didn't win it at the first attempt. I did contest as an independent candidate in the BBMP elections in 2009. I didn't win it, but I knew that could be a start of a journey that could let a lot of people know that anybody can give this a shot. You don't have to have a political background. You don't really need to be rich. Over a period of time, if I was at it, for all you know, I would be right here sitting with you as probably some political representative,
I would have asked
or
you
minister
to
or whatever.
Fix the gutter and the road.
yeah. I would be one of those guys. But unfortunately, my energies took me in a different path where I wanted to create. I figured, see, eventually I wanted to make a difference in people's lives, right? Whether I was doing it through politics by bettering their life, or whether it is to being on stage or on the mic, on the radio or television or wherever, in creating memories and happiness for them. So my purpose still remains the same, of creating difference in people's lives. But political route was one of those routes that I took to try and see if I could do that. It quite didn't work out for me, but nevertheless, I had a wonderful experience. I had a wonderful experience. I had a near to real experience, as how you would see in the movies. I've had
You
experiences
did all
like that.
this and all?
Yes, of course I did that. I had my own manifesto as to what I wanted to do for people. I did the door-to-door campaigning. I had an entire team that was supporting me. I had a lot of my interns, college students, a lot of the youth who came out and supported me, because I was the youngest candidate in the country who was contesting a political election, right? And a lot of press and media support was also there. Again, for them, it was more like it was unique. But for me, it was because I wanted to wake up a lot of people around, saying that it's high time we get into it. Otherwise, it's not going to get cleaned up.
Yeah.
It's only going to get messy.
Yeah.
So I did my attempts till then, and then there was another round, second time around, that I wanted to do it. Unfortunately, that's when, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, that's when I had to head into Bigg Boss, and the second round of elections didn't happen. So probably, you never know, if the second round, the second attempt, I probably would have made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have. Because they say in politics, you contest the first time to lose, you contest the second time to make your opponent lose, and you contest the third time to win.
Oh, the third time to win.
Yes.
I thought the second time when you...
No, second time probably I would have been in the opposition side, to be the devil's advocate in the political system, to try and get the guys who are in power to do their job well. Probably the third time I could have been in power to do it well.
Which is where we're lacking at this point, the second one.
Yes. We stopped at the first one.
I want to, this bit that you explained about, you know who the audience is, you know how to get that energy from what you bring to the table across, you know who's the sponsor or the company is and what are they going after, you know what you bring to the table, you also know who are your partners in this whole journey, because if you're doing an MC, it's not just you, it's the back-end technology team and lighting and a whole bunch of things that come together. That's different for different roles you've played, right? Like an MC to an RJ. And earlier you were talking about you sort of put on different personas in each of these.
Yes, you switch. You constantly switch.
How does that work?
See, the baseline of... I'll throw a question back at you, Sarjan.
Yo.
How difficult is it for anyone
Yeah.
to talk well? How difficult is it for anyone to be nice to people around you?
Yeah.
How difficult is it for anyone to be part of people's happiness? It's not difficult, right?
Yeah.
So the underlying purpose of me being on mic and stage and creating memories, that if I'm going to talk well and talk nice and be part of people's happiness on that particular occasion, I've already, half my job is done, right? One. Two, when I land up at a venue, whether it is an IPL stage or an ICC stage, or it's a radio station, or it's a regular corporate event in a 5-star or a resort, when I land at the venue, I just kind of be a little observant of the kind of people these are. You know, when you look at a person, you know, right? You just kind of a fair sense of an idea as to how this person's life has been. Just a fair sense, like a bird's eye view, not getting into it detailed, right? You know the kind of people they've been, the kind of work that they're doing, what probably makes them happy, what is it that probably doesn't make them, all that happy. You know how strongly they feel for the brand because they're all there for their company's celebration, or they're there to watch their team's match. You know what ticks them, what doesn't tick them, right? So when you, and you know the people who are there who are putting this event together, it also means a lot to them because they want it to be a hit and they want it to be a successful event. So everybody out there is with a common purpose to just create happiness, to create memory out of that happiness, to celebrate the good times that all of them are together. Now, how difficult it is to ride along with that? It is not. right? You just need to make sure you know their story. You just need to make sure you talk to them what matters to them, and you just need to know that you do things that probably rings in a celebration. We do this at homes, we do this in our family gatherings, we do this at our weddings, we do this at our festivals. How difficult it is to do this on a stage, and that is what I do.
Yeah. And
That is what I do. So that is the underlying thing. Now, different places have a different energy that you need to bring in. Like at an IPL stage, you bring in you don't go there and converse with people, talk with people, or even try to involve them into something. You just drive people there. You drive them towards a game that they're so passionate about. You drive them towards a team that they've come to watch and they feel so strongly about. And you just drive on their energy itself. So you need to know what gets them on. It's them cheering for the team. It's them cheering for those crucial moments in the match. It's you trying to get them on really charged up, feel excited about a moment that's going to arrive. Right? So that's the ball game there. Now, cut to a radio station. When I'm sitting in front of the mic like this, handling my console, I can't do what I'm doing there here. Right? Here it's a different ball game. I switch to a different mode. Here I talk to people. I drive conversations. Right? I bring in meaningful talks. I bring them music. It's a different ball game altogether. A lot of people say you're an RJ, so you can be a great MC. No, they're two different things altogether. Like I was just telling you, you're working for a corporate company doesn't mean you're going to be good at everything that you do inside that corporate company, right? And HR has an entirely different role to a tech person, to a person who's in the administrative department, to a person who's just doing an executive job. You can't say you're a great corporate because you can do everything. You can't. Similarly, miking, or rather being on the mic or being an entertainer, has different roles that you play. And you play with different energies. As far as your baseline or your fundamentals or your foundation is strong of creating great times and giving people memory and creating happiness, you know what kind of energies to use where. So when you come into the radio station, you switch into a different role altogether of being a talker, of being a conversationalist, if I have to say, of being a person who can engage people into talks and create humor and throw things at them, get things back off, feed off them, and let the conversations evolve. Similarly, when you are on a corporate stage, you get into their story, you get to know what matters to them, you try and evolve or play along with their story and get into celebration mode. It's a different thing altogether there. So I can't be an IPL MC at a radio station. I can't be a radio jockey at a corporate event. I can't be a corporate MC at or probably at a television show that I'm doing. These are all different ball games altogether, and there are people who specialize in these, right? Concert, IPLs, or these large scale event MCs are entirely different to people who do corporate events and team building workshops and activities. They are different entertainers. Radio jockeys are completely different entertainers. They all specialize. Thankfully, I kind of figured that there is one thing common for all of this, right?
It's the giving.
It's the giving. It's being part of their story. It's creating that celebration for them. I figured that out. So that's how I can survive in each of these stages. That's how I can be an IPL MC or a concert MC. I can be on a corporate stage. I can be on a radio. I could be on television, because I know the base for all of this is just one. Yeah. And of course, the other base is creativity. You constantly try to be creative to figure out what you need to do, what you not need to do, and what ticks them, what doesn't tick them, what marks a celebration, what doesn't. So you just need to be a little aware and creative, and you'll get there. That's about it.
I also think if I were to draw a parallel to the audience that we have, which is the mid-career professionals, it's a great example of how you need to be wearing different suits for yourself, keeping in mind who you're working with, what's the outcome. Like in the IPL and MJ as well as the RJ thing, you could today be just working with your engineering team. Tomorrow you might be working with the sales team.
Yeah.
And the after tomorrow you might be pitching something to the business leaders itself. So how do you think of them? What are some of the drivers for them? What are some of the fears that they have? And then designing your conversation accordingly or preparing accordingly for that is what you're also saying that is very important as a individual who's on a Lone Ranger mode to survive and thrive in this journey. Did I get that right?
Firstly, I wouldn't say I'm surviving in this. I'm just
Thriving.
I wouldn't even say thriving. I'm just living it. I'm just living this journey, Baba. Again, when does these things about surviving, thriving comes into the picture? When you know that you subscribe to something like success, trying to be successful or getting somewhere. I'm not getting anywhere. I don't know where I have to get. I don't subscribe to this entire concept of success. Right? So the moment you have that in your mind, no, that I have to reach there, I have to get there, then you will try to constantly amend and mend yourself to suit that particular situation or those kind of people you're working with or the kind of job that you're doing. Then again, that's what I call enslaving yourself to these circumstances and situations. Break away from that. No matter what attire you're wearing, you were talking about attire. No matter what attire you're wearing, no matter where you are, who you are with, understand what your core wants to give to that situation or that particular stage or for those people. What does your core want to give? And if you're honest enough, your core will align with what it wants also out of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So all these people that you were talking about who work in different aspects of the job that they are in, who work in different departments. See, what's your ultimate thing that you want to ensure that whatever they want out of me can be met, right? Without disturbing my core and without changing what I feel towards my journey in life, I will just want to fulfill that. And you'll find that you're naturally doing it in a nicer way than trying to please people, than trying to dress in a particular way, than trying to impress people with all these superficial things of language and attire and all that. I think we should grow out of all of these things. In fact, we never grew into it, we were forced into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we started to think that, okay, this is how life evolves. No, I would wear whatever I would want to wear. Right? So when I go to these stages or wherever I am, I wear my dhotis and blazers, and because I feel great about being in one. I feel good. It just makes me feel a little free. I start feeling a little flamboyant, right? So it's like they say, it's the kind of food you eat is the way you think. It's the kind of clothes sometimes you wear. It's also the way you make it, the way you feel, and you make others feel. Right, so I wear my dhotis into conferences, like there are senior conferences of Apples and the Accentures and the Oracles. I have worn my dhotis and blazers, and I still pull it off as a well-dressed person in that place. Yes, of course, initially the eyebrows are raised as to who's this guy who's just so precariously or probably who's dressed so weirdly. Those eyebrows go up. But when they hear me talk the way I do and they see that I'm so aligned with what they're doing and I'm fulfilling their purpose, they're like, dude, this is great.
Yeah.
They don't even think about other aspects after that.
Yeah.
They don't even think about the other aspects. As like they say, when your content and purpose is strong, everything else doesn't, nothing else matters around it. Yeah. Nothing else matters around. So I think for all those people that you were talking about, just figure out ultimately what is it that's wanted or needed out of you in that particular place. And without disturbing your core, try to finish that job. Don't change yourself. Don't mend yourself. Don't try to be different only because they would like it. Stop pleasing people.
Yeah.
You're displeasing yourself by doing that. Right? If you're pleased by the way you are, you'll naturally see people around you are going to be pleased with you. And you don't even have to please anybody, Baba. You just have to do what you're supposed to be doing or you want to do.
Yeah.
And you'll naturally find it's a pleasant journey at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I cannot. I mean, I've been nodding. One of the things I learned through podcasting is there's a lot of noise that comes because when I am vehemently in agreement with what my guest is saying, I'll be like, yes, of course. So I'm like, I figured just nod now. But I completely agree with you. I wish someone had caught hold of me and said, a younger me to say, hey, here, this is how you would like, I would love for you to go through.
Saujanya, it's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Yes.
I'm 39 years old today. My mom is going to hate me for announcing my age in front of the camera because I'm still unmarried. I'm 39 years of age and I'm still exploring. I'm still rolling. I'm still doing whatever I love doing. That's it. So there is nothing, it's better. It's never too late. It's never too late to do what you love doing.
And the opportunities are immense.
Yeah, you create your own opportunities. You don't even have to wait for others to create. You create your own opportunities. You'll realize once you start doing what you love doing, things will just fall in place.
One thing over there when you were talking about changing from an RJ to an MJ to the MC or hosting an IPL kind, it's also you need to unlearn some of these, right? Because what you said, like for example, I cannot bring that kind of energy into an RJ conversation. It's a different style that I have to, it's a different skill set. And whereas what is required in an IPL match hosting is a different skill set. So how is that process of like undoing some of this from this to that role?
That comes only over a period of time. I wouldn't want to call it out of experience. It comes over a period of time. It's only as good as when you learned how to drive your car on day one on city roads to a couple of months down the line driving on a highway to a couple of months driving on a off road and to a couple of months after that just trying to park your car in a very difficult spot. All these require different skills, right? The way you drive in the city, you can't drive on a highway. You'll get hit. And the way you drive in a highway, you can't drive in the city. You will get hit. And the way you park your car, probably in your office campus, which is swanky and big, can't be done when you go out there to buy your vegetables or grocery, right? So driving is the same. It requires different skill sets, right? Over a period of time, you learn that. You'll figure how to switch roles, how to switch energies, how to hop from one to another. You'll figure that. Driving will be the same. The base is the same. Nobody can take that away from you. It's just that different roads, you bring in a different kind of a skill. That's all I do. So it's over a period of time. I cannot really define it as to how I do. You just make sure before you go into an event, you completely withdraw from your previous one. You don't want to leave traces of that. You'll notice this once you've driven on a highway like for a proper 3-4 hours. Suddenly you enter the city, you're trying to still swing your car like the way you swing on the highway. Right? Then you realize, hey, listen, I can't do that here. I'll get hit or I will hit somebody. So you will adapt to that. So what happens is if I'm driving on a highway and I come into the city road, I will give it a little break in my head. I will withdraw. Like if I've done an event yesterday, if I've done an IPL match yesterday, the night I withdraw from it. I will probably watch something that takes my mind away from it completely, or I will do something which is completely away from the kind of work that I do, right? Like for example, working out, that's something that I love doing. Driving long drives, that's something that I love doing. I would probably cook, which I do with my counterpart Prithvi. So that takes my mind away from things. You withdraw from stuff and next day you are as fresh as new.
Yeah.
To get into a different role.
Yeah. I've
That's how it
not
is.
eaten both your cooking stuff.
You should.
You both have been talking about this.
Oh, the town is talking about it, not just us.
Not once have I been fed, and I think this is something.
You come to RJ Prithvi and MJ Rakesh's kitchen, which usually happens once a week. At least we cook at his place. You walk into our kitchen, you're in for a delight. We are not just your palate cleansers, we are also your palate's delight. Trust me.
Can't beat this now.
Yeah, it's just that we are not on Swiggy and Zomato because we want them to have their own monopoly. Otherwise, we just take over.
Yeah. I believe you guys. But I've been hearing this for like years now, and I hadn't even experienced it once.
Yeah, we would give all the restaurants on Swiggy and Zomato a run for their money if we really come into the business. But yeah, we let people have their share of, the business.
So one of the things you talked about I know you don't like the word knowing your own value that you bring, but along with that, Rakesh is also the brand that you built, right? Because you're working in a creative space where as you're going through this highway to main city roads to parking,
off-roading,
right? You're always in your mind, you're like, hey, change gears, change gears. So you're in some ways reflecting on it yourself, but you also have people judging you like crazy. Now, when people judge you, it's a reflection of what their beliefs and their journey is more, I believe, than it is about you. But it still comes to you. It still reaches you. How do you deal with that?
Judgments, opinions, Tell me one judgment or opinion which has stood the way it has always been. It's always changing, right? People's judgments change, people's opinions change, people's idea about you change. They're always changing. I don't want to subscribe to something that's constantly changing. I'll evolve with it. Today you think this of me, tomorrow I know you might think something else of me. You can keep thinking. I'm giving some work to your gray cells. Please go ahead, keep thinking. Doesn't even matter to me. As far as I know, when I'm out there with my mic, whichever stage or television or radio it is, or radio station it is, when I know people out there are happy with what I'm doing, I'm going back home happy. I just want to get up, go out there, do some good work, create memory, and go back home. Whatever comes along doesn't even matter. I think there's enough and more for each of us to think about ourselves and to worry about what we think about ourselves than to worry about what other people think about us. So let's focus more on that and then what other people have to say, because that's always going to keep changing. And you are always going to try and change to that. Stop. Again, that in a way would then make you a chameleon, right? You're trying to adapt to whatever they are trying to say. Yes, of course, I will always take a feedback. I will always take a constructive feedback. I will always hear you out. Okay. But if that is constantly going to change, I think I can figure this out myself. I don't really see. There cannot be a better version of you than you yourself. Right? So you are the best person to tell what works, what doesn't, what you did was fine or what you did was not fine. I wouldn't even say right or wrong. There's nothing like right or wrong. Right? What you did was fine, what you did was not fine, what you did was great, what was not great. You are the best person to say it yourself. You have a conscience, right? Deep down your core will tell you, "Hey, idu one chanak bandila. This is not right. ये थोड़ा और बेहतर हो सकता था." You know it to yourself.
Behtar is what?
Better is it could have been better.
Okay.
It's a Hindi word, Saujanya. So yeah, so you know it yourself. You can be a better judge of yourself than others.
Yeah.
And what are we here judging? What? Where are we trying to fit in? Who are we trying to fit in? Or for what? When those concepts are out of your head, no, these things won't matter. Dude, judge all you want. Judge all you want, create opinions all that you want. It doesn't even matter. I'm not trying to fit into your world. I'm trying to create a world of my own. Right? And there are a lot of people in that world who love what I do. And I love doing it for them.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't really want to subscribe to this, what do you call, a very mediocre, low life of a thing, low life sort of a thing. I don't want to subscribe to that. It doesn't even matter to me. Yeah.
And where does, yesterday when I was talking to you, you talked about how you take care of everything, every post that you do, every content that you have, everything, including just now you were talking about Ulfat Sultan, and that is a concept that came, it's all you. A major part of this personal journey then is also about how you brand yourself, how you, the branding becomes an exercise in itself.
Okay.
How do you go about, because you were not born with these skills and you just decided to take a fling on this side of the journey, and you discovered, oh, this is good fun, I'm enjoying it. And this also then requires me to up the game every time and become a better self. So far I'm with you. But it also means I have to constantly build that brand for myself. It's not on someone else's hand. It's mine. How do you go about that?
Firstly, let's get this right. A brand doesn't build itself. It's the people who build it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whoever you're catering to are the ones who build you as a brand. I've never worked towards creating a brand for myself. I've only done what I love doing, and I only love doing what people love out of me. And eventually, over a period of time, that snowballs into a space where people identify you with that. The corporate world likes to call it brand. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you're a brand of, you're this brand of an MC, you have these fans. I said, please stop saying that, because you're only trying to, again, demean a lot of other people. Nobody is nobody's fan, okay? They love me for what I do. And that's how I would love to address them as. These are people who believe and love in what I do. So I would continue doing that for them. They're no fans as such for me. Okay, one. Two, it's the world around you that makes what you are for what you have given to it. And that's what they identify you in a particular space. That you are good at this space, in this space. Now, world likes to call it a brand. So I'm going to leave it at that. And as far as social media is concerned, my purpose of social media is very different. Again, a lot of people do it for whatever other reasons, but my social media is only a space where I'd like to show a slice of great times that people have had with me. That's all. I'm not trying to sell myself. I'm not trying to, glorify the kind of work that I do and look at me. That's not my purpose. So if you go through any post on my social media, on my Instagram or on my Facebook or whatever, even on LinkedIn, you will see that whatever I've put up, it's only giving a slice of a great time that I have had and a bunch of people have had on it, so that it just inspires people to feel great about life.
Yeah.
I'm not preaching anything.
Yeah.
There are a lot of videos in which I am like screaming out loud and pumping the crowd and the energy is on a high. There's so much experience that people who've been in that space have taken and gone that night as a memory. Now, I could only leave that as a memory and leave it at that and probably keep creating newer ones, which I do. But I also, if I've managed to get a video from someone, I never shoot my videos. I never even plan a video or a picture of myself. Whoever has shot a video or any videographer or any people from the audience, any member from the audience, if they send it to me, I try and see if it has something that people would love to see and it could inspire them and make them feel great about life. I will take a slice of that. I will edit it nicely so that I don't waste too much of your time waiting for you to watch the entire thing. I'll edit the main portions of it, which are the highlights of that event, and I'll post it for you to feel great about the kind of times people and humans are creating amongst themselves. Now that is my purpose of social media. That's all. That's all. And that's how I try to give a slice, because like I said, I've been fortunate, or rather I have worked that much to create an ability to be able to deliver, to be able to create a happiness and memory for people. And if I'm doing it in a nice way and people are also riding along with me, I think the world out there deserves to know that such great times can happen if you'll just team up and if you'll just come together. Yeah. Right? Such great times can happen. So that's what I try to bring on my social media. That's what I try to put there.
I want to switch gear. You did that Bigg Boss. Right? So
yes, I didn't do the Bigg Boss. Bigg Boss did me. I can say that. They did me, and how? They did me, and how? Yeah.
So when Prithvi was here, he was telling me about Bigg Boss. He said it's a huge mansion, and you're basically having no books, no TV, nothing. And first 5 days might just be like, you carry a persona.
Yeah.
But eventually you have to be yourself. It's almost, and you articulated it, I thought, really beautifully. It's like life shrunk.
Yeah, it's squeezed, packed,
it's like
compressed.
packed into 90 plus days.
Yeah.
And you survived that for 91 days?
Yeah. 91 days, I think, 92 or 91 days. I went back in for a quick re-entry and I got back on the 94th day. Yeah, I was there in Bigg Boss. Yes, the moment you say Bigg Boss, a lot of things in me kind of wake up suddenly. I'm like, we're at this topic again.
No, I won't go into that.
Yeah.
I think what I want to understand is, so if I draw a parallel, what you experienced in that 3 months plus is pretty much what we would go through as a journey in life.
In life, yes.
You find all kinds of people.
All kinds of emotions.
Stress, and how you deal with stress. Anxiety, because you're just
Struggles,
stuck in that
difficulties,
space.
all of it, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And suddenly you have to adapt. You have to be very flexible. Communication is very important. You're staying in that place or not sometimes is not even your own doing, it is someone else's
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
Whole lot of skills come in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I can think of emotional, social intelligence, leadership, a whole bunch of things. What was it like? What are things you took away from that? And can you touch on some of these? Because it was a crash course in life itself. What are some top 3 or 5 things you can take away and say, this is what I learned about life from there?
More than learning life from there, I would say, fortunately or unfortunately, I had been through enough struggles in my life already before I made it to Bigg Boss. One of the reasons probably why I made it to Bigg Boss is because I had been through a lot, seen a lot, done a lot, and probably I was ready to step into that kind of a world out there. So yeah, I spent a lot of my childhood just working in the family business, struggled through my school and college, had huge amount of loans to pay off, had to put together the entire family and take care of them. At a very young age, did go through a lot of severe health crisis. So I had already seen, and by the time I'd already worked towards building 2 careers, one as a radio personality, the other one as an MC anchor host. So eventually landed up becoming a mic jockey, a universal mic person on any platform. So I had been through a lot already to be able to face this. So when I went in, I knew what was coming my way. One. Two, I went in with a very clear thought that this is how I'm going to treat how I've treated my life all this while. Again, this is a journey for me. I am not here to win. I made it very clear when I entered the house itself, right out there at Sudeep. I said, I'm not entering this place to win. I'm going to treat this again as one of my journeys in life, which I want to live through. And everybody used to be like a little amused by that. How can you just be part of something like this which you're not here to win? I'm like, winning is not the only thing for me. I don't subscribe to winning. I don't subscribe to success. I don't subscribe to competition. So for me, this is not even in my books. Because I personally feel when you're trying to win, when you're trying to succeed, when you're trying to compete, indirectly, you are wanting to be above somebody else. Directly, you're wanting to be on the top, right? You're trying to be above somebody else, and indirectly you do not want someone else to do better than you, which I think is wrong, no?
Which
As a
manifests itself in different ways.
the
And
as a virtue itself is so
Yeah.
wrong, right?
Yeah.
When you're subscribing to competition and winning and success and all that, indirectly you don't want someone else around you not to do better than you, so that you can be on top. And now also understand, being on top is also something that is a standard that's been set by someone else. It's a benchmark of somebody else that you're trying to meet. I don't want that in the first place, right? Not that I can't. Not that I can't. It's just that it's such a wrong virtue. I don't want others to feel wrong or others to do bad just because I want to be up there. Right? We just glorified this entire thing in such a way that it's a competition, and it's a great competition, a healthy competition. I'm sorry to use language, is my ass. It's not. It's not that way. So it's so wrong. It's just like the search pricing that comes up.
Yeah.
Right? I want to tell this. If you notice, just because it rains or it's a tight weekend, you will up the prices of your cabs. Now understand one thing. It's the same cab. It's the same driver. It's the same amount of fuel that's going to get consumed. Right? And it's the same amount of time probably that you will spend doing that distance. Everything remains the same. You might be charging $100 for this ride on a normal day. Just because there is a situation created by a calamity rain, or because it's a weekend and everybody's out, you will make this 100 into 10, or make it X, 10X or whatever, that makes it 300, 400. Now that is greed, right? Everything else remains the same. Are you putting in extra effort? Are you getting me a newer cab? Are you putting in extra fuel? Are you driving an extra distance? No. It's the same thing. But in the name of surge pricing, you have glorified greed, which is so wrong. And we as humans have started to accept that, it's surge pricing. You've even given it a fancy name. Do you realize that's nothing but your greed interpreted? Similarly, when it comes to success, competition, or winning, It is again your inert desire to not having others do well as you. How about everybody doing well? How about all of us doing well? Right? You don't want to think that. Why? That is so wrong. Again, we've glorified that concept of putting down others in the name of competition, in the name of winning, in the name of healthy fights. Please wake up. We got to wake up from that concept. So when I went into Bigg Boss, it was very clear for me, I'm not here to play a game with you guys. I'm not here to win this. Win what? Right? I'm here to just live it through with you guys. They've put us in a simulated situation, like a nomadic life, which has cut us away from everything worldly, like the telephone, the newspaper, the radio, the television, the internet, the phones. Everything has been taken away from us. Even our connections with people were out of our regular environment that we breed in. We're not able to do what we've been doing out for a living. All that's been taken away for us. How do you survive? It's just like giving you birth, right? You've just been born and you don't have a parent to attend to you.
It's a reset in life.
Yes. So you figure that out. How is there a winning coming in that place? Right? So it's a beautiful experience how you figure that out, which is what I was doing. Yes, of course, I did come through a lot of what you call the TRP or the channels sensationalized pressures. But I dealt with it over a period of time. I did land myself into a lot of controversy. In the first 45 days, I did land in a lot of controversy because I was unknown to what was being done to me, which I didn't even know that it was being, played in such a way that was cutting a different story of me or a different persona of me on the screen. But over a period of time, a little bit of my media brain came into my head a little stronger. And I figured that, okay, this is going the other way. And I started just, unplaying that for them. And then just did whatever I was meant for, just living the journey. And I made it very clear to everybody, I'm not here to win. You want me to win this task for you? I'll win it because it brings food on the table. It's like me earning it for the house. I'll do that. But I'm not here to win this game. It's not even called a game for me. It's a journey, for heaven's sake. And they would think it's absurd, it's weird and all of it. Right? So I truly replicated what I was doing all my life outside of the house to what I did inside the Bigg Boss house. And the moment I came out, I was continuing to doing the same thing. Yes, it did take me some life to reset because I had to get back to my work. I had to get back to my radio. I had to bring in my creativity back because there I was in a different role in my head. I was not emceeing, anchoring, hosting or doing creative thinking. So I was away from it for a good time. So I was just living a journey there. So I had to come back again, kind of, sharpen my skills so that I could get into the passion that I've been driving and reset my life, and I got along. And yes, of course, people did love me. Like the first half of it, which I got into a lot of controversy, and the second half of it, I kind of got out of it. So a lot of people there said, when I got out, still till date appreciate me, saying that you're someone who showed us how one can get sucked into a controversy without even realizing, and then also realizing it and coming out of the controversy in the same spot, in the same place, and coming out literally like someone who's, mastered this entire art. So that's what I did. I think I didn't even do this out of consciousness. I just did it the way I think it's supposed to be done, and it came out well for me.
I found you to be always very emotionally as well as socially intelligent.
I was very emotional. I was very weak. I would say I was very weak. See, I'm a very sensitive person, right? Like you asked me yesterday, what defines you? I said, energy. I'm a ball of energy that thrives on its own. What other thing that defines me is extremely sensitive. I could cry at the drop of a hat if you tell me a very emotional story.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah, I could, yes. I would just cry at the drop of the hat if I see someone in pain. Okay, I would just feel sorry for people, for stories or situations that are helpless sometimes. So I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, right? I don't know. They even gave me the Cry Baby Award at the Bigg Boss. I'm proud of it. It only proves that I'm more human.
Altadya.
Yeah, I used to cry a lot because I was, firstly understand, I was stripped away from everything that I was living on all this while.
Yeah.
My food, my people, the kind of work that I do, because that's what drives me, right? Yeah. Me being on stage and, me being around my people. I was stripped of everything. And suddenly you put me in a situation like that. And there are constantly 16, 17 others who are trying to pull you down throughout the day, from the way you walk to the way you eat and the way you are. And moreover, I was like the black sheep there because I'm not a Kannadiga, right? Though I'm born, brought up here, I lived here all my life. I love Kannada. I speak Kannada. I'm a part of the Mannina Maga, like they say, son of the soil. But acceptance wasn't great there. So I would constantly face a lot of backlash. So naturally, I was like, why am I have to go to, why am I facing all of this? Though my core is pretty clean, though my purpose for people and for myself is pretty noble, why do I have to still go through that? And that's what would make me cry. Not because someone came and yelled at me, or not someone came and took away my food. It would just trigger that side of me, that my purpose is noble, right? My intentions are clear and my heart is clean. Why would I have to, go through that? So that's what would make me emotional and break down. And that's what makes me feel when I see other people go through that as well. When someone is helpless and you know very clearly this person doesn't deserve to go through this, you try to do whatever you can to get that person out of it. But I know I'm helpless and I can't. I really feel sorry. I really feel upset.
And was that a big takeaway on the perception and the impact it has on you? Is one of the big takeaways from the Bigg Boss journey itself?
I wouldn't say takeaway. It only reassured what I believed in.
Yeah.
It only reassured, or rather, I would say, it kind of validated what I've always believed in. You don't need to fight. Firstly, you don't need to win, succeed, or you don't need to win, succeed, or kind of fight for something. You just live it. And what comes to you comes to you. What doesn't, it doesn't. You do it. You do it well. That's all you do. You live that journey well, and you'll see it'll come your way. So when I got out, a lot of people would come out and say, "You didn't win. You probably didn't create a career out of Bigg Boss, but what you won is a lot of hearts."
I see that in both of you, by the way, even that Prithvi soul.
Yes,
Like it's like everywhere we walk and they'll come. Sir.
Yeah, we feel that. There are times when me and Prithvi walk together and there are people coming
It's so
in, they
cute
want to
to
click
watch that.
pictures,
Yeah.
they want to, talk to us. They do instant video calls with their loved ones and they say who we met, look at Prithvi and Rakesh. So that is something that's been there from the very beginning for me and Prithvi, from the time we started hosting that Saturday morning show. It used to be a very lovable show that both of us used to host on the radio. We did that for about 10 years. A lot of people love our chemistry, our Tom and Jerry kind of fights that we have. They kind of like it, and we also do that because we know it brings happiness to people, and nothing better than feeling great that you created happiness for people, right? So we do that, and we embrace it when it comes to us. So that's what the Bigg Boss journey was for me. It just reassured that you don't really have to. It's never about winning and fighting and succeeding. It's all about living the journey. And when you do it in the most righteous way, you'll see how everything is so beautifully evolving for you, which it did. You can see it's a living example. When I got out, people just love me. People just appreciate me for the kind of journey I've had. Some people even land up saying that you've won more hearts than people who won the competition, the so-called competition. I'm like, okay, that doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, as far as I have, see, like again, they say, everybody wants to be that 2,000 rupees note, right?
Yeah.
Because big buck and it's fancy, it's colorful, it's a bigger space you need in your wallet. It shows your power. It shows all of that, right? I don't want to be that.
Yeah, your drive.
I want to be that 100 buck note. You know why? Because that's what runs the most. And that's what's used the most, and that's what's with everybody. I want to be that 100 buck note for you.
I don't have 100 rupees.
So I want to be that. I want to be that for you. Then that 2,000 thing, which is again very difficult to exchange. You think twice before using it. You keep it safely. No, let's be vulnerable, right? What's the fun trying to be there? The fun is trying to be here with your people. I say this a lot when a lot of people ask me, my real space is not on stage. My real space is when I'm down with the audience, interacting, doing stuff, playing with them, doing my rap, doing those cheers of the happy. That is my stuff. It's not on stage. My place is with people. I feel at home when I'm there.
Yeah, I've seen you. I've seen you. Actually, I've seen both of you really do this really beautifully. And I've seen it in person, not just when we go out to restaurants, but even random, like when we travel, airports and bus stands, and people will suddenly come, sir. And Prithvi would be like, "Ah, buddy, buddy." It's like,
We love that. We
yeah,
love that.
it's
Prithvi
like
and
a
me, we
beautiful
love
thing.
that. We just love people because we are what we are today because of them. We wanted to do stuff that would excite us and excite them, and eventually that equation has worked so well. And why not celebrate that when people acknowledge you for it?
Yeah.
So we do that, yeah.
How did IPL happen? Now you call IPL
Mm-hmm.
as an emotion.
Hmm.
How did that happen? Were you, did it gradually come to you, or because you've been in doing the IPL thing for what, 10 years now? How did it happen and how's that?
See, I would say again, it's an they say, how do they put that? They say attention goes where the energy flows, right? So my energy of being on stage, entertaining people, creating memories was going so strong because I was internalizing it. I was doing it in the most righteous way, and I was being part of the stories. I was wanting to feel one with the celebrations that people were having out there, irrespective of the stage that I was in. I was doing that. So over a period of time, some event managers, I call them my annadatas, if you have to say, the event managers around, they figured that I am someone who can drive larger crowds. I'm someone who can create and what you call control energies on a larger platform.
How
So
large are we talking here,
see,
Rakesh?
the largest crowd I've hosted for is 1 lakh plus. Yeah,
Wow,
at the Motera Stadium in Ahmedabad.
1 lakh
1 lakh plus audience, and before that was in the Kolkata Eden Garden Stadium when I hosted the India Pakistan match. So I've hosted uh, audience sizes of those. Okay, so before I got there, I was hosting a lot of events which involved a lot of high energy, and a lot of event managers, they figured that I can create this for larger audiences and I can control that very well, because sometimes when you're doing events for larger audience, you tend to lose them very easily because it's a large segment that you're catering to. You never know how a group is feeling out there, how the group in the front is feeling with you, or how the group right behind, or is not even sitting or standing and watching, is feeling in an auditorium, right? So I somehow could align myself with each of them and keep them with me right throughout. So because I could do that and do that well, over a period of time, they figured that I can be put on bigger stages to handle larger audiences. And so organically, IPL came to me and I did it. I did have to go through a lot of backlash because it's a very different ball game altogether. You're not just doing there screaming on the mic. A lot of people think I'm just on the IPL stage screaming, shouting. No, it's a game of it's an entire art. I would say it's science, art, and passion coming together of how you use your energy, synergy, and create vibrations. Okay, you can't just take the mic and scream. Try doing that. People will not even join you. It's about sinking in with the format of the game, paying heed to the cues of your broadcast team because you cannot interfere with the broadcast, constantly being aware. Whenever you get that little time and that moment, saying the right thing the right way and getting the audience on is when the magic happens. There are so many times you got to create magic in 20 seconds, right? There is a break between the overs, and the over has just gone well, and the crowd, the home team crowd, is full on, is completely charged up, but they want someone to drive them. You use those 20 seconds to make sure you do the most appropriate cheer at that point in time, say the most right things at the same time, and also be aware of the countdown which is happening, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut, and it goes to television. right? So it's a lot of science, it's a lot of art, and it's a lot of passion of creating energy, synergies, and vibrations. It's not just screaming and shouting. A lot of people mistake it for that. Just take the mic and I'll give the loudest screamer. Take the chance and do it, and you'll realize it's not about that. Yeah, I'm not trying to say that I can do it well. There are also other people who do this. There are also 2-3 other MCs in the country who do this, and they do this really well. And it's just that I've managed to figure that science, art, and passion of it, and that kind of works for me. And that's how IPL happened. And of course, I was doing it well, and it's been doing well. Even the seasons have been doing well, and that's why I'm still there in the business. Touch wood, thank God.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you this is, there are matches where the home team is not doing so well and the mood is really flat down there. But here's your job of like really engaging with this group. And I didn't know it's running in lakhs. I mean, for me, I'm not a cricket thing. But that would be so difficult, right, Rakesh?
See, realize that is what they're hiring you for. The other stuff though naturally can happen, right? See, any event for that matter, IPL or Pro Kabaddi that I do, or even these corporate events, or even the radio shows for that matter. The going is good when it's all good.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody can ride along a good wave. The real challenge and your real strength and the test of your passion as to how well you can do it comes in when it is tough. And those are the moments I love, because it really puts me to test, right? So that's the time you don't let go of your people, because these are the same people who've been with you in good times, right? These are the same people you will make sure will be with you during bad times. When I say you, I'm talking about the team. When I say you, I'm talking about whichever corporate company they're working for. When I say you, I'm talking about whichever radio station that I'm working for. They've been with you right throughout in your good times. So you better join them in even during bad times, right? So that's when you push your crowd. You just about try to do the basics at that point in time. You don't go all out with your energy. You say things that really matter at that point in time, right? Like, there could be just 1 or 2 moments you could steal from the game even when the team is playing bad, and get the crowd to support your team. Even 1 or 2 moments that could just spark up, even if they're on the downside. Use that to get the crowd on. That one thing is enough to wake them up, and then they will ride along with you. You know? So I use those kind of moments. Again, you got to be sharp. You got to be aware. You got to know your people well. You got to know the people who you're hosting for, and the team that you're kind of driving. You need to know these things well for you to know when to use those opportunities. And that's what I do. And that's what I do. There are times where a lot of these corporates have had a tough session in the morning with the conference. And obviously they would have got these heavy targets, that all these sales meetings and all that, no? They would have got these heavy targets that they would be imposed upon them. They're already feeling the pressure. They're already feeling heavy in their heads. Right? So they were like, okay, let's just go to the party, drink, and just get back to the room. Right? Though there's entertainment plan.
I can relate with this.
Yeah. So though there is entertainment plan, though there is someone like me who's going to come there to host it for you. That is where you do that little pep talk with them. You know? That is where you do that little pep talk with them, saying that, fine. You know why today what you got as a target or what you're feeling right now feels like a mountain? Because you've already crossed one. Had you not crossed that, you wouldn't have got this, right? And always remember, there'll always be another mountain to climb. So stop thinking about every mountain and wasting your time.
That's the journey.
Yeah, it's a journey. You'll figure this out. You'll figure this out. You know why? Not because I'm just saying it, you'll figure it out and just leave it. You'll figure this out because you have figured it out last time. You will eventually figure it out. Don't stress over it now. You've had a great year. How about celebrating that first? You know people are with you after that.
Yeah.
That's how you play around. That's how you try and get people on your side, even if it is the downside of things for them.
Yeah.
You know, today, a lot of people, when they come back together, they are all a little nervous when they're at events, because the large gatherings have come back and the COVID stress, pandemic restrictions and all of that. They've been through a lot of it. My story for them is that, you know, you guys out here, you know, all thousands of you, when I did an event last week, I, 2 weeks ago, I did it with Rahman being the guest at that event, and people were like quite charged, but they were also quite nervous. And that's when you get onto their side of the story. You say, you guys have been through a lot in the last 2 years. COVID stress, pandemic restrictions, personal challenges. But yet, after all that, look where you are. You are here to celebrate that you've done well. The company wants to tell you that you've done well. Why aren't you feeling well about it? Why are you holding yourself back from it? Feel great, you deserve it. Open up, break loose. They're on your side. So even when things are on the downside, you do that.
Yeah.
You pull that up, you try and take it on your stride. You take it in your stride because there's no other person who can do that better than you in that place.
Yeah.
So you take that responsibility on your shoulder because they've all come there for a good time and they all deserve to go back home with a memory for the amount of time they have given you that night or that evening. Yeah. And I take it on myself personally as a responsibility that this is something I have to give them and I will do whatever it takes to make them feel that.
Yeah. No, this has been for me, I can draw so many parallels with our working life and, how we sort of fall into the pressure of a title or a role or a job or money and so on and so forth. Because if you just look at it as a journey.
Yeah.
And
I'm saying it's just
get
that.
better and better and
it's
better.
It's just that, trust me, I'm telling you, a lot of people will disagree with me saying that, oh, please, these are too philosophical things, these are too vague, or stop being the Satguru and, stop bringing in the art of living into all of this. I am not even subscribing to any of it. I don't even listen to those, or I don't even align myself with those. I am saying intrinsically, our heart, our body, mind and soul is ready for anything that is beautiful and righteous. You just got to give yourself into it and you will see it will evolve. You'll see it will happen. I come from such a tough background where I struggle to put money together. Baba, I struggle to put stuff together for myself. And if I am claiming that, it's only because it's worked. And if it's worked for me, trust me, it can work for anybody.
Yeah. I'm another example of this. I grew up in a very, I lost my dad when I was 3 years old. Oh. So it was always my mother and my sister and me. Wow. So I know what you're saying. If I have come till here...
Yeah, anybody can.
Dude,
and it's not
so
rocket
hard.
science. It's not rocket science. We are not Vishwamitras or we are not the Chanakyas, right? We are not Vishwamitras or Chanakyas. We are not great people with great genes. We are just as how people who are probably watching this right now, right? If we could, so can you. It's just about just getting certain perspectives right. I wouldn't say, again, this is something that really gets to me when we say that it's right or wrong. There's nothing like right or wrong. As much as this sounds textbookish, let me tell you, there's nothing like right or wrong. The only right is the ones who've done less wrong. That's all. There's nobody right. Okay? Only those who have done less wrong and wrong again, subject to their understanding of life. Yeah. Subject to what their core is calling for. If they think it is wrong, it is wrong. So do that less wrong. You'll see eventually the right will happen. Yeah. Again, connecting to stop getting sucked into the wrong things. You'll see the right will happen for you. Yeah. Allow your time, allow yourself and your life that space and journey to evolve in. Then constantly subscribing, 28 you have to get married. Oh, 32 you have to have your first child. Oh, 35 you have to have your house. Who wrote
40
these?
You need to divorce.
Yeah, 40 you need to divorce. Who wrote these things? At 39, I'm unmarried. I'm still having a great time in my life. Yeah. I don't have a specific job. I'm still doing really well for myself. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I might not have a great wealth that I've amassed, but I still feel rich. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's what you want to feel, right? That's what you want to feel. True. And I'm sure half of you guys, or most of them watching right now, as much as this sounds morbid, let me tell you, all of us are the same age group, I'm guessing, 39, 40s, 45s. Yeah. Let's be honest, guys. We are not going to live as many years as we have lived so far. Keeping the life expectancy rate in place, the kind of air we breathe, the kind of water we drink, and the kind of food we eat.
And the lifestyle we live.
And the lifestyle we live. We are not going to live the number of years we've lived so far. So technically, half your life is over. right? The other half, at least, thankfully, I figured this out in my 18s itself that I want to live the journey of life. The other half of your life, at least, just live it than just being, you know, having these shackles around you and holding yourself back.
I completely agree with you. For me, this is like 2.0, version 2.0.
2.0. Yeah.
It's a journey, and I'm loving every bit of it. Some days are up, some days are like really
Yeah.
scary as hell.
Yeah.
But it's a journey, and it's
Great.
a
I'm
wonderful
so
journey.
glad you're doing what you love doing, and you'll realize over a period of time, and that's what enriches your life
Yeah.
and your journey in life.
Yeah.
Right? That's what makes you feel great when you're out with friends, because you want to celebrate.
True.
You want to celebrate not because you're just with your friends. You want to celebrate that I'm in such a nice, happy space with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's when we all meet up, you, me, Prithvi, Valli, all of us, when we meet up, we're just looking at having a great time. We're not sitting and sharing our sob stories.
Yeah.
We're not sitting and sharing or talking about how others are doing and look at her, look at me and all of it. We're just having a great time, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's because we've all aligned ourselves. Look at Valli herself. We've all aligned ourselves to having an enriching journey in life.
Yeah.
And that does not come with name, fame, money, success, winning. All these have to be put aside.
Yeah. Live your life.
Live it large, live it happy.
The last one.
Yes.
Professor Ulfat Sultan for Attitude Makeover. Come on, I need one. Can you first of all do that in the podcast, or
Of
are you
course I
allowed?
can do that. I perform those at my live events. Yes, of
But
course.
you were
I do.
talking about the IP piece of it. It's
Yes,
okay.
of course. I did that for about. I used to script and voice this humor character, Professor Ulfat Sultan, on radio. He's a self-proclaimed professor who comes, teaches 2 English words in Urdu, and while he does, his life and wife comes into the picture. Everything goes for a toss. So I've been doing that. I did that for about 10 years, and for whatever reasons, I had to move on from that radio station, but I couldn't take that along with me. As much as I was a creator of it, but the radio station holds it under its banner. So all these corporate laws come into the picture, and I cannot really take it along with me or play it anywhere, but I can perform it. I have performed it at all my live events. People show a lot of love to it. I don't claim, the industry says, I don't claim that after 10 years and about 278 scripts, Sultan happens to be the longest standing humor character on Indian radio, apparently.
Oh.
I don't claim, industry says that. So you'll find even till date a lot of people who love at my events, and they get me to do it live towards the end, which I think is what you have also done. So I will do one Sultan for you.
Okay.
It might not come exactly the way it comes on the radio, but I will do it as close to it as possible. So here goes. सुल्तान स्कूल ऑफ स्पीच सलाम वालेकुम सभी को मैं प्रोफेसर उल्फत सुल्तान सीखो मेरे साथ इंग्लिश की 2 बात टुडेस 2 इंग्लिश वर्ड जेली एंड बेली जेली को तो वो कलर कलर के रबर माफिक ट्रांसपेरेंट मिठाई आती देखो विच बेली को तो तुम्हारे स्टमक्स के ऊपर वो स्पॉन्ज माफिक पोर्शन पर डोंडी है देखो विच Now put it one sentence. When Shakira shakes her belly, it moves like jelly. But जब मेरे मोहल्ले की lady पहलवान Miss Hafsa Begum shakes her belly, full tremors in my gully. Sometimes it reaches from Marathali to Bomanali. So that is Sultan. Yeah.
Oh my God, how much I missed this. You know,
Yeah.
I used to listen to this. What was I? This was what? At least like late 90s, early 2000s you were
I'm
doing
really
this,
old,
right?
guys. I'm really old. Yeah.
Hey, I'm your grandmother sitting here.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I go to these events, they walk up to me and they will be like, you know what? I've heard you in school. I'm like, dude, don't say that in front of people who are like really like the women out there who like me. Don't say it in front of them. It just makes me feel so old. Like, yeah, I used to go to school. I used to ask dad to increase the volume to listen to you. So a lot of people who walk up to me and they tell me that they listen. They used to listen to me.
Yeah,
They were
I
in school
love
and
it.
college, and some people have grown up with it. And I'm like, wow, there was a time when I was doing a show and a bunch of students, like 30, 40 of them walked up to me, and the lecturer came up to me and said, "We all want a picture with you." I'm like, "Yes, of course, I would give it to you all." Then she said, "You know why they're all here? They're here to meet you because this year Our class project was to do a project on Professor Ulfat Sultan's life.
Oh,
Yeah. They said they were to go and figure out who you are, what you do, how have you created this, and how is it running on radio, write a few scripts and all that. I could see their project in their hands, and I was like, my God, I've been studied upon, And that's when, that again, these are things that validate my purpose.
yeah, yeah.
I want to create great times for people. And when I see these people do this, it just validates my purpose. And I'm like, wow, I want to do this more. I want to continue doing this all my life.
Yeah, I'll tell you my thing. So I don't understand Hindi now. I'm a little better now, but back then, so it was like it was my third language, and I struggled, and I still continue. But I think you guys used to play in a Hindi radio station. So the songs, if the songs are nice, I would sort of
Tune in.
listen. Others I would switch.
Yeah.
But the moment I hear Professor Ulfat Sultan, it just comes back.
The
And
volume
I'm like,
goes
I
up.
watched the whole thing. I listen. I've actually pulled up at places.
Really?
It's time to get out of the car, but I listen to the.
Oh, wow.
I love it so much.
Oh, wow.
And I think you should try to continue doing
I
it.
want to continue. I want to continue provided these corporate laws of these radio stations allow me to, I went to another radio station at Red FM. I started a similar character called Pathez. Pathez is where he comes and gives a silly question and somebody responds to it and he gives a cracker to it that it's not this, it's that. It's another interesting character similar to Sultan. But again, I left from that place and again, corporate laws hold it that I cannot take it anywhere else and play it out. So yeah, if only these corporate laws were a little easy on
The
people who
creator
want
side.
to,
Yeah.
not even creative, I'd say corporate laws be a little easy on people who want to honestly create good times for people without any intentions of making money out of it. I think we'll all be in a better, happier world.
I would think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can say.
Well, Rakesh, thank you so much. This has been what, about an hour plus?
Oh my God.
Yeah, not bad,
We've
huh?
spoken for 90 minutes. We've spoken for 90 minutes?
Yes.
I am so sorry, guys. Whoever is watching, please, you had to sit through this. I don't even know if half of you have sat through this, but whoever has sat through this and listening to it right now, watching this right now, I think we're really privileged that we have the audience watching us for such a long time. Thank you.
Yeah. So I do have I think around 170 people who come and listen to the full episode.
Wow.
Ashte.
Wow.
You had
Number
100
doesn't
rupees
define.
you were telling. No,
Like
so
I said,
don't
it's
know.
not the number that defines it.
Yes.
It's 170 people also sitting and listening. That makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, so for me,
If those
matters.
170 of them could take something from here,
Yes.
we've again created a difference in someone's life.
Yes,
right?
that's the whole
Or
idea.
if those 170 go down in your comments and write anything for us, it just enriches our life. Saying that,
Yes.
oh wow, we could do something, or probably we need to do this, and this is what has been suggested
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
So it's a give and take
Yes.
with whoever is watching right now. So thank you so much for sitting through this, and whatever you do feel that was like I said, right, wrong, less wrong, whatever, just put it down and let us know. It'd be great for us to know.
Well, thank you so much, Rakesh.
It's lovely, Saujanya, and I must say you've been doing a fabulous job. I went through some of your videos the other day, and I also went through the Prithvi's episode. I think you're doing a really good path-breaking work in
Thank
the podcasting space. Not just because of the kind of people you're getting, but because your focus is more on trying to give people
Yeah.
that key that they're all looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I went on if I could give advice to myself 25
Yeah.
years back, I'd probably give it to me.
Like I said, no, I said this in the Bigg Boss house when I got out, and I truly meant it. I just played a game of lock and key when I got out. You know lock and key that we used to play in school. So my entire understanding was this. I came into this house and I got locked in many places. Okay, and many people got locked in many places, just like in the game, how people just go lock, and everyone's looking for a key. Everyone's looking for a key, not realizing the key is you yourself, right? You have the key to your own locks. You just got to unlock yourself. That's about it. And I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're getting people to figure out and discover their own keys.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a fabulous job at it. You're doing a fantastic job at that. And may all the people who have those locks find the keys and unlock themselves and just flourish.
Yes, that's
what
the
I
whole
wish.
wish
Yeah.
and the aspiration of attitude makeover.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
it's not the numbers, it's
Absolutely.
not money that I'm pursuing. That's why I call it 2.0,
Yeah.
version 2.0.
Yeah.
So it's important.
I'm glad we're on the same book, in the same page, and hope both of us manage to create whatever we've
More.
intended to create here.
Yes. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Arjun. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.